Hey, welcome back to Pittsburgh Sports Now. We got the Sports Drive back at home here in Chippewa at Beaver County Auto. Doug Biega on your left. The man that runs the ship here, PJ Latsko, on the right. Guys, we didn't have, sometimes there's weeks that it's hard to come up with topics.
It was easy this week.
Not a problem.
This wasn't a week. All right. Since the Steelers always run this town, let's start with them first. The worst case scenario happened. We always talk about if Ben goes down, they would be done. Well, we found out this week Ben is done until next year. Question is, Mason Rudolph's in. Are they done? There was optimism about this team prior to the season. Are they done, or do you believe that they still have a puncher's chance of a playoff spot?
They have a puncher's chance only because of their division. We're not completely sold on what Baltimore is yet, okay? Baltimore really hasn't played anybody yet. Cleveland was kind of exposed in week one. We're not sure how good Cleveland is yet. So they do have a puncher's chance mainly because of their division. Cincinnati's terrible. But I kind of think, all of us included, we overvalued the talent that was remaining on that team. You got rid of locker room distractions, no doubt about it. But you also got rid of some elite talent in the last couple of years. And I think that they were having trouble moving the football. And then with Ben getting hurt, I mean, they do have a puncher's chance, but I didn't think they had much of a chance with Ben, the way he looked. So maybe this will kind of reinvigorate things. You know, not that Ben wasn't, you know, he is what he is, but now I think maybe they have like a cause to rally behind, perhaps.
Anytime you lose a Hall of Famer, it's not good, right?
Can't be, right? Can't be.
I was at the game, and to be honest, when Rudolph looked really good to me.
He did.
He looked really good to me. I think you're 100% right. When you lose AB, you lose Le'Veon, you lose a couple other pieces. That's a lot of talent.
It's a lot
of talent. You know, not that, I mean, I watched Le'Veon on Monday night. I think he probably misses the line that he had in Pittsburgh too.
They were pretty good together, the three of them.
AB's going to be really good with Brady.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have a chance. We have a chance.
All right, now question now is let's play a what-if game here. Coaches never want to do this. You don't like to do this. But let's say Mason Rudolph looks good. Not great, but looks pretty good. Ben says he's going to come back next year. He's already made that known. If he's physically ready next year, Mason Rudolph looks good next year, or this year, how do things go for next year? Does Ben automatically reclaim the job? Do they look to ship him? Is it Rudolph time? What say you?
I mean, I read an article yesterday that as long as Big Ben's in town, it's his team. And I kind of agree with that. I can't see them trading him. I can't see him wanting to go anywhere. I mean, he's, what is he, 37, 36, 37? Yeah. Is someone going to want to trade him? I mean, they pay him huge money the next 2 years. He's making $30-some million.
Isn't there a case, though, Doug, that if Mason Rudolph comes in, and we obviously then that would show that he's the future, they do have a young team, isn't there at least a case to be made that, let's say he leads them to the playoffs?
How does he say the case is to be made? Let's say he goes on a 14-0 run here in his 14 starts. And then, like a lot of people want to say this is the Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe type of scenario. I look at it as possibly being a Tony Romo, Dak Prescott type of a scenario. You have an older quarterback, and say this kid Rudolph comes in and goes nuts, 12-2, 13-1, something ridiculous like that. And then I think there is no question about it. I think probably Roethlisberger will step aside and just retire, or maybe ride his career out with Bruce Arians down in Tampa Bay, which he has a good relationship with. You never know about stuff like that. But I think that story is to be written. There's a giant variable out there in this equation, and it's how well Mason Rudolph does these next 14 games.
The other big story this week wasn't as big, but when the Steelers haven't won down a first-round pick since the 1960s, prior to Chuck Noll. They traded next year's first-round pick for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Dolphins. It's a risk because if the Steelers do not tank, but if they don't perform well, you could be trading away a top 10 pick. Do you like the move?
There's only one scenario, I guess two scenarios in which this is a bad move. The first one is if the kid gets hurt. If Fitzpatrick gets hurt, then obviously it was a bad move, but you can't count that. The other scenario is, say the Steelers do not do well. If the Rudolph experiment does not work, and you end up with a 4-12, 5-11 type team, which is a possibility. and there's a franchise quarterback out there in the top 5 or 6 picks, then it's a bad deal. But if you sign this kid and you end up 8-8, 9-7, but you like what you see in Rudolph, you're not out to draft a quarterback, then you got a top 10, top 11 talent in a position of need, because they've gone after these safeties multiple times now. And this guy is, from all accounts, a can't miss. He's an Alabama guy, he's a Saban guy. Saban loves him. So he's probably going to be a really nice fit. But the key is, do they do well? Is there a franchise quarterback that they will need in next year's draft? If all that hits, then it wasn't a good deal.
It was a definite position of need. We need a safety.
Yeah.
Davis is hurt, so now what are you going to do? I mean, we struggle right now against the pass. I don't think the Steelers are thinking they're going to have a top 10 pick. When
they don't tank.
When they make this trade, Tomlin, has he ever been under 500? I mean, I don't think he has. So I mean, 9 wins might get us in the playoffs if we beat Baltimore twice. I mean, it's coming down to we're gonna have to beat Baltimore twice. We're probably gonna have to run the table on our division if we're gonna make the playoffs. The schedule's not real easy this year.
Doug, the other, thank God, maybe in some people's case, the Pirate season is coming to an end here.
Merciful ending.
Couple weeks left. We won't get into the big story. That's for a different forum. We'll get into on the field with the team. Obviously, it's a disastrous season. They need to finish 8-2 the last 10 games to not lose 90 games. That's an embarrassment. Bob Nutting, we know his reputation of being cheap. In light of a possible 90-loss season, what do you think will happen, and do you think Nutting would clean house, meaning top to bottom, everyone, or will we try to window dress it a little bit, get rid of a couple guys in order to save money?
Yeah, you ask what I think or what I think is going to happen.
Both.
What I think is going to happen is maybe the pitching coach, the batting coach, they might have a sacrificial lamb that they go out there and they whack off the payroll and say, look, we weren't happy with the direction in which we were going, and this is a change we need to make. What I think is you should do is I think they should nuke it, start from scratch. Maybe from the players all the way up to management. There should be nothing left standing. If this is the product that you're producing, then obviously a lot of people have failed to do their job. So I think you should start from scratch. That's just my opinion.
PJ, as a business owner, you deal with money, you deal with bottom lines, you deal with, maybe some things you want to do, but you also have to, make the smart move.
The product on the field has to get a little bit better. I mean, this year, just with the injuries.
But how do you trust the people in charge in order to do that? They're the ones that put this 90-loss team on the field.
Yeah, they did, but I mean, the boss, Nutting, controls all the strings because he tells the GM and the president what the budget's going to be. So if he only gives you an $80 million budget, how are you possibly going to win in the Major League Baseball? $80 million, I mean, I don't know what the Dodgers is, what the Yankees... Players. Yeah, I mean, their pitching staff makes substantially more than what our entire team does.
Correct.
I don't think it's Huntington's fault. I don't think it's Coonley's fault. I don't think it's Hurdle's fault. I mean, has Hurdle maybe lost the team with, how many fights have they had that we know of?
Right. We
know of 2 or 3.
Right.
We know of. We know some coaches getting with some players. Maybe he goes, but I don't think it's his fault. I really don't. I think the owner's saying, listen, you're going to spend $80 million. $80 million, I'm going to make this much. I'm good with the revenue sharing. And I disagree with the whole Major League Baseball, no salary cap. I don't think we're ever going to have a chance. Unless what you do, now, if you say bust it up, are you going to trade everybody? Are you going to trade Marte? Are you going to trade Bell? Are you going to just stick with Newman and Reynolds and use a whole bunch of rookies? That's not going to go over real good either, and you're not going to get anybody to go to the games.
Right. All right, last question of the day. It's sort of old, but it came up again this week on Monday when Pat Narduzzi asked about his decision at the end of the game to go for attempt a field goal instead of going for it from 4th and yard and a half. What do you make of him sticking with that? Is that just a coach not wanting to admit he's wrong, or does he really believe that?
Well, what he's saying in front of the camera and what he's saying to his team in the locker room may be 2 very different things. I'm not so sure. Obviously, I don't see any way maybe the momentum wasn't on their side because they were moving backwards, albeit a yard backwards for the first 3 plays. Maybe he just wanted to make sure he got something out of that drive. But I mean, we're all going to have the same thing. Like, even if you fail, they get the ball on the 1 yard line in a wet weather game.
I don't understand I don't understand the kick at all.
I
mean,
can't.
It's a really bad angle. It wasn't right up the middle.
Yeah.
He's at the 1 yard line. He got a kick
no
right
value.
here. And you still need another touchdown.
Right. I can't.
He did get his team up. I mean, the positives are they played a great game. It was fun to watch.
It was a poor decision, and I kind of think he knows that.
As a coach, is it hard after saying it? If I'm his PR guy, or I'm writing a script for him, I go in there and say, hey guys,
I booted it.
No one's perfect in life.
Yeah.
I made a mistake after the game. It's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
I said one thing. Now I have a chance to think about it. Coaches don't like to go back, do they?
Apparently not. I mean, I see what you're saying, though, for sure.
I mean, I think I just questioned the 4 plays. I mean, that's they didn't have a big running back in. I don't know the Pitt football running back roster as good as I should, but I don't know if they have a big running back.
No, not this year.
They don't.
Not overly
the
physical
guys were
down there,
open on 3rd down. They were both open. He was getting rushed. He had to rush his throw. But how do you not go? I mean, you got 5 minutes left. Worst comes to worst. The ball's at the 1.
On a wet
Your
field.
defense is
Yes.
playing good.
Agreed.
Your defense is playing good.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. We will be back next month. We'll have a few games with the Steelers underway. Pirates will be done. We'll be into hockey season. And PJ, what do you have behind you?
This is a Sentra, 2019 Nissan Sentra. We have the Altima over here, Murano. We have great leases and buys on everything. We got 10 days left. Come on in. We got about 800 cars on the ground ready to roll out of here.
All right, men, we will see you next week for the Sports Drive with the coach Doug Biega and PJ Latsko.